Welcome to a new episode of Ausfahrt.tv in English with me and my broken English, and I'm Mr. Z, your host. In 2001, Skoda, the Czech company, introduced the first Superb. In 2008, they introduced the second model generation. And 1 year later, they introduced the first E-State version of the Superb. In 2015, they introduced the third product generation. And we have a review about the sedan already in our stream. If you're interested, it's linked in the description of the video as well. And now we're here. And we're introducing the E-State version of the third generation. It will be introduced to the public at the IAA in Frankfurt in September 2015, and the car should be available by then as well. Since 2001, Skoda has produced 750,000 Superbs so far. 200,000 of them were E-State versions. In Germany, it's a quite popular car. It was sold over 14,000 times last year in 2014, and so it's a second favorite right after the Octavia. Well, at least in Germany, we can name 3 competitors out of the whole product range that is competing with the Superb. We have the Ford Mondeo Tunier, the E-State version of the Ford Mondeo. We do have the Hyundai E40 or the Opel Insignia Sports Tourer. And of course, we can compare the Skoda Superb to the Volkswagen Passat E-State version. They're on a similar platform, or on the same platform, but the Passat is meant to be a little bit more premium than the Skoda Superb. The Skoda Superb E-State version, the Combi, will be available with 3 TDI engines, 120, 150 and 190 horsepower. And we have 5 gasoline engine, TSI engines, so to say, 125, 150, 180, 220 and starting in July 280 horsepower. So if you're questioning yourself, well, will they offer an RS model of the Superb as well? I doubt it, because we do have already the 280 horsepower machine for the Skoda Superb, and I might imagine that they will offer a body kit, but I'm not really sure, because the Skoda Superb is more of a fleet car, so I don't think that an RS model will pay off for them. Well, you can choose between a manual 6-speed and an 6-speed dual clutch automatic transmission for most of the engines. The top gasoline engine always comes with a DSG, so the dual clutch. The Skoda Superb always has front-wheel drive, unless you order it with all-wheel drive, and that's available for the diesel engines, 150 and 190 horsepower diesels, and it comes as factory setting for the strongest petrol engine as well. Here's the heart of our test car. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder TDI diesel engine with 190 horsepower. It's good for maximum torque of 400 Newton meters, and you get them in a range between 1,750 and 3,250 RPM. And you get this 400 Newton meters because we have the all-wheel drive version, and I don't have to shift myself. I have the 6-speed DSG here. Let me give you the basic facts about our test car with a 2-liter TDI with 190 horsepower. We can accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour or 62 miles per hour in 7.7 seconds. And the top speed is reached at 228 kilometers per hour or 142 miles per hour. The gas tank of the Skoda Superb E-State version is good for 66 liters, which equals 70.5 gallons. Skoda claims a fuel consumption of 5.1 liters on 100 kilometers or 46.1 miles per gallon, which means that under perfect conditions you can drive up to 1,290 kilometers or 800 miles without getting gas. The Skoda Superb Combi, the E-State version, has a length of 4.85 meters, which equals 191 inches. It has a wheelbase of 2.84 meters or 112 inches. Its height is 1 meter and 47 centimeters, which equals 58 inches. And from mirror tip to mirror tip, it's 2.09 meters wide, which equals 82 inches. As of the turn radius, you need at least 11.7 meters of free space, which equals 461 inches. The curb weight is 1,635 kilograms or 3,605 pounds. The admissible total weight is 2,275 kilograms, which equals 5,016 pounds. I'm just repeating what I already said to the sedan version. So if you watched the sedan video already, you can look in the description of the video and just skip the part until I get to the trunk, because everything else is pretty similar. So the front has changed with the third product generation. It's supposed to look a little bit more wider, more powerful, full of strength, you know. So they use these lines that come from the hood to the grill. The grill itself is more three-dimensional. It's wider. So are the headlights. They got wider as well. The whole car gained a little bit of width, and overall they tried to put the whole front a little bit down so the car looks a little bit more sporty than the previous model. At least in Germany we have 4 different product lines, starting with the lowest, Active, then Ambition, then Style. We're driving the L and K model. L and K stands for Lauren and Clement, the founder of Skoda. By factory settings, the Skoda Superb Combi comes with halogen front lights. As an option, you can order big xenon lights, and those come with a day running light in L shape. By factory settings, the Skoda Superb Combi comes on 16-inch alloy wheels. We have here with our option line 18-inch alloy wheels, and as an option you get even 19-inch. This color right here that we chose for our test car is called Lava Blue, and it's 1 out of 14 colors you can choose from. By the way, the wheelbase got stretched about 8 centimeters, and the more on space is for the passengers in the rear. The back of the Skoda Superb E-State version is dominated by horizontal lines as well. Same effect, Skoda wanted to make the car look much wider. And what I think is kind of funny, because they want to make the car look wide and powerful, but no exit pipes, you know. So something I think makes, I think exit pipes are something that can make a car look more sporty, more powerful. Well, they are hidden down here, you don't see them. Only the 280 horsepower gasoline engine version has real exit pipes. The rear lights are in C shape as usual for Skoda, and the C shape is with LED lights, while the other lights are regular light bulbs. Okay, feel free to follow me inside so I can show you the interior. Just one remark, the door opens around 80 degrees, and I think it's a pretty huge door as well. Before I get inside the car, I want to show you one of the 31 simply clever solutions by Skoda in the Superb. Here in the door panel we have a little slot for an umbrella, and even if it's wet and you stick it back in, there's a little drain so the water can drop out. I'm getting in here now, and it's a really easy, comfortable entry. I don't even have to lean out too much to close the door, and the door feels really light as well. I just have to say it's really, really hot outside. We have 28 degrees Celsius in the shadow, and I'm sweating, and we've been driving around all day to find a good location. We didn't find one, so I'm pretty exhausted. Please excuse myself if I stumble over my words or forget something. Anyhow, inside the Skoda Superb E-State version. In the front, I like how they managed to design this beige and down here and the black on top. It gives the car a little bit more room and makes you feel that the car is more spacious than it actually is. But I have no problems in terms of size here anyway. With Toby in the passenger seat, we were driving around and it was not tight at all. So you do have space, especially with your head. And I didn't even have the seat to the very bottom here. The material is not as good. It's not as high quality as you might know it from Volkswagen, but it's very close. They just have to make a little difference so they can still sell Volkswagen a little bit more expensive. We have soft touch material over here, the whole area. Then there's black glossy paint, one whole line. I don't like it too much because of fingerprints and dust that you see, at once. And then we have this beige part, and even here, soft touch, soft touch, soft touch at the sides as well. So wherever you touch, even in the side, you feel soft touch, and that's neat. And even the door. The door of the gloves compartment, which is hard plastic, does not feel really hard. They did a pretty good job, I guess. From the way you can reach everything, once you've driven one Volkswagen or Skoda or Seat, you get along with this car just fine at once. Everything is in reach. I'm just a little bit sad. In the Volkswagen Golf, they have the center facing the driver at least a little bit, and Skoda just facing the back, which I think is, kind of not really driver oriented. So a little minus for that. However, let's start with a regular turn. I can adjust the height of the seatbelt so I have it on my shoulder the very perfect way. The seat belts are this long, and by the way, here in our option line they are beige as well, just like the interior. The seats are adjustable electrically, and you can, put them in all kinds of direction. You even have a lumbar function that goes up, down, out, and in. By the way, you can heat the seats. Not only can you heat them, you can cool them down as well. And if you want to, you can even do it together. People are always asking me, why should I do this together? I'm telling you, just try it out. Put the heating on all the way, 3 stages of heat and just 1 of cooling down. So you have the warm air blowing up, which is, I think it's pretty neat. Well, However, the steering wheel is coated with leather and you can adjust it in a manual way. You have this radius to choose from, and I think Skoda does a good job. It's coming out well enough, so I have no problems finding a good position. We have a multifunctional steering wheel. By the way, we have shifting pedals as well on both sides, up and down. On the steering wheel, we have buttons on the left side for controlling the infotainment system, and on the right side, one button for the infotainment system to take a call, and the other ones are to control the board computer, and even one more to jump in the assist system so you can enable or disable them. We have, for instance, a active lane keeping assist here. Some people really enjoy driving with it, like I do. Others don't, because you always have, this sort of tension in the steering wheel, the car supporting you while you drive. Some people don't like this, and here you have one button on the steering wheel to get in the menu and disable or enable the function. Looking in the mirrors, I think they look good, but they could be a little bit bigger. However, I can see everything I need to see. Same for the inner mirror. I see the whole frame of the rear window. So altogether, I see enough of the traffic behind me. If you were driving backwards, you can order as an option the rear camera. I like the lines. When you use the steering wheel, they show you where you probably go. Besides that, you have a little drawing of the car that shows the distance between an object and the car. So you have both ways to support you while you park or, do some maneuvers. Turning my head around on the Left side, I have no problems with the B pillar, so no real blind spot. Same on the right side, C pillar is fine too. And the D pillar is indeed a little bit bigger, but since we have a window in front of the D pillar and the rear window, there's just a tiny spot. And even if there's a biker, a bicyclist back there, you should be really blind if you don't see him. So I think overall you have a good view in this car. Um, I'm not too sure about an ambient light system because it's bright today and we probably won't get the car during nighttime. However, we have the big panoramic sunroof, and that's awesome, especially if you have kids, because I know at least my kids love it. The panoramic sunroof goes from the front row to the very back of the back row, so the kids can look up while you're driving in big cities and look at all the buildings. Plus, you get a little bit more of extra light in here. And when you have a day like today where the sun is just burning down, burning down your head, you can at least close a blind here, the blinds, so that keeps the sun out. Not completely, but at least completely enough to prevent you getting a headache. And that's, by the way, it goes automatically. By the way, the front you can lift up and pull back so you can open the front, but that's just for the front passengers. Let me jump through all the compartments real quick, and this will take some time because we have quite a few. In the door panels, in all four door panels, we have space for a 1.5 liter bottle. I just have half a liter bottles here, and they're a little bit lost in here. Behind this bottle holder, we have a quite big compartment for my wallet, for instance, and deep in this compartment we have space for the warning vest, and I kind of push it out of sight so I have enough space for anything else and still know the warning vest is right down there. In case of an emergency, I know where it is. Next to the steering wheel on the left we have a little compartment coated, so the bottom is coated with textile. And in front of the steering wheel, we have another compartment with this little slider here that opens quite neatly and closes as neatly. Here's the line in, the USB plug and a 12-volt outlet, and some compartment with an anti-slip surface. Where I can put my mobile phone, and then it has a little bit better connection through the car. I think it's kind of neat because this way you can, charge your iPhone or smartphone, so to say, and it still looks pretty tidy and clean. Besides, if you do have a smartphone with the new Skoda Octavia e-state version and the current and biggest infotainment system, they offer Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and MirrorLink. So you can hook up your phone and mirror a bunch of applications depending to the system you use. Behind the stick of the DSG we have another slider that I can open, and here two cup holders for half-liter bottles. Actually, there's three because in the center there's another one. And here in Europe we have this PET bottles, these plastic bottles, and they have this funny surface on the bottom. And in this middle holder we have some other rubber things. And so when I press down the bottle just a little bit, it gives it hold so I can open the bottle without, pressing it between my legs, for instance. So it's really easy to open and close bottles, and then I could put it to the left or to the right or just to the side and close the slider. The armrest is adjustable just in height, and under it we have a quite big compartment, at least enough space for two half-a-liter bottles, which is neat because you can cool them via the air condition. Besides that, there's a little leash here, and if I pull it up, I find a slot. This slot is meant to be to store your iPad. You have an iPad holder for the rear, and when you go shopping or do something else, you can put it in here, close the thing so it's protected by for so thieves don't see it, whatever. Um, in the seats themselves, I have a little back here on the side. I would offer this for my kids, but you can even put an iPhone in here. On the other side, there is some switches to control the passenger seat. If you don't have an electric seat on the passenger side, then there's another back on the seats. Okay, first we do have of course, a gloves compartment, which is not pretty big. Actually, just the board material fits in here. If you put it out, the board material, you can load up to 2 more bottles in the gloves compartment, and you can cool it down via the air condition as well. Here we have 2 SD card slots, a SIM card slot, and a CD DVD slot for the infotainment system. And on the very right, you can disable the passenger seat airbag in case you want to have a baby shelf on the passenger seat. We have makeup mirrors in both shades, sunshades here. This one comes even with a little clip, and the makeup mirrors are illuminated by an LED. We have reading lights. If I use the reading light as a driver, I turn on the reading light for myself and the passenger seat. As a passenger, I can, focus on my own light, and I control the rear lights from here, from the front as well. And we have door handles on all 4 doors. That's about it from the interior. Well, the E-State version for sure is a good family car, so let me show you around the second seat row. So even the frame is a little bit smaller here in the rear. I can easily get in, just, bumping in the car. The door is easy to reach as well, and it closes as easy as the front door. Well, I'm sitting in the back now, and I have to tell you, I forgot in the front, I'm 180 centimeters tall, so 5'11". And as you can see, I can almost dance in here. I have so much space for my legs, and even for my head, I have enough space. My cameraman, Tobias, he is 195 centimeters tall, so 6'5". And if he sits in the front and adjusts the seats so he has a comfortable driving position, we took a picture. This is still enough space for my legs. And if he sits in the back while the driver's seat is adjusted to his position, he still can sit comfortable and has a little bit of leg room and enough headspace as well. So even tall person, at least till 195 centimeters, can sit in the back just very comfortable. By the way, both of the outer seats are formed out just a little bit so you don't scoot around too much. Thinking about transporting kids in the back, we have first of all ISOFIX things on both outer seats. The locks of the safety belts are stable, or stiff, that the kids can buckle up themselves with ease. Length of the safety belts is long enough to buckle up a baby's shelf or a child seat. We have reading lights on the side, as we have the big panoramic sunroof, and I like this better on the side anyway. We have door handles on both sides as well, and hooks for a jacket on the handle as well as on the B pillar. I opened the panoramic sunroof shade to the very rear so you can see it's really, I just, lean my head back and I can stare to the trees that are dying in the German woods. So it's an amazing view. Now you really can see a lot and light is coming in here well. If you don't want that, you can close the blind again, and if you want more privacy from the back, you can pull up the shade here. And you should be able to see we have privacy coloring in the rear windows, and the power steered windows roll down completely, so I can easily rest my arm here when it's summertime. And of course, since they belong to Volkswagen, they do have protection so no one gets harmed sticking out something while closing the window. Okay, we have quite a few compartments here as well. I told you already, in the door panel there's enough space for a 1.5 liter bottle. I just got 2 half-a-liter bottles here. And back in the door panel compartment, there's even space for another warning vest. In the rear of the front seats we have a bag, you know, for magazines and stuff. Here are the air outlets. In our edition we have a 3-zone climate control, driver, passenger seat and the rear, so you can adjust the climate here, the temperature for the rear, and you have a seat heating for both of the outer seats. Below that we have a little flap, and there we have a USB plug that is connected to the infotainment system as well, and we have a 12-volt outlet and even a 230-volt outlet that you can use up to 150 watt. Okay. I can pull down the armrest here nice and easily. If I open this plastic thing, there are 2 more cup holders and even a holder for a pen. And if I don't use them, you might have seen already, here's an iPad and a holder for the iPad. I can release the iPad with the holder and just stick it in here so the kids can play together, even, you know, some games that are for dual play. And you know, sticking it back in here, just the person on the passenger seat can use it. I can even open this thing and load longer stuff to the front here. And just to show you, I will just hop in the middle. It's supposed to be a 5-seater. It's pretty hard in the back, and the pillow that I'm sitting on is hard as well. Still, I can sit here. I even have some space for my head, for my legs, of course. I'm sitting on the locks of the doorbells, so people have to, you know, finger around my butt if they want to buckle up. However, I can even imagine sitting here for around, you know, whatever, 70 miles, 100 kilometers. That would be fine for me. Our Superb E-State version has electric door for the trunk as well as the chassis, the keyless system. So I have various options to open the trunk. First of all, next to the shift for the gears or the automatic transmission, I have a little switch that I can use to open and close the trunk. I can use the key. Here's the key, by the way. You want to see it all the time. And this little other thing is for the heating system, the stationary heating or whatever you call it. So you can use the key as well. But since we have chassis, stop. And here, of course, is a switch as well. But since we have chassis, I can just drop this in my pants. So I have the key here, and all I have to do is kick, and the whole thing opens automatically. What I really like, there's some people, or even, you know, in some cities you drive into a parking spot where the ceiling is not so high and you would scratch your paint. So if the door opens like this, you can say stop by pressing this button just again. And if it's your private garage that is not so high, you can press the button for a longer time and until the emergency light flashes and this little sound is played. And now if you close the hood again, and open it, it won't open to the full height, but stay right here where you programmed it. And if you want to remove this programming, you have to push it open and just press the button until the light flashes again. Alright, so here's our tripod case. You can put it in both sides, which means you have at least 1 meter of space either way. You can load up to 660 liters in the trunk of the Superb E-State version. And Toby and me, we both did the clip or the review for the sedan, and we were not really impressed by the size. I mean, it's huge, but since the sedan already has 625 liters, this is not so much bigger, and it's a little bit of, well, you know, okay, a little bit of more space. However, it gained 30 liters, around 30 liters to the previous model. And by the way, 660 liters equals, I'm sorry, I have some, whatever. I don't want to kill you, just go away. We have up to no, 660 liters equals 34 cubic feet. However, okay, we have a privacy blind here, just one press and it goes to the middle, another press and it slides all the way down. And then if I press it to one side, I can release it easily. And by the way, there's even a way to store it in the trunk so it's not in the way, or you don't have to leave it in the garage. So here we got another thing, and I was like, what the hell is this? You can pull it apart and roll it out and hang it back in this holder here. Whoops. And this way you have another sort of compartment or like a net where you can store stuff. I have no idea what I would put there, but my job is not to know what you want to put there, just to show you that it's there at least. Okay. A neat thing, you have to lift something up in the trunk and you just push it in. By the way, 67 centimeters. And you have a plain surface, you just have to put it on here. If you need a little bit of more space in the trunk, this floor is adjustable. You just pull it once and then you can lower it down around 10 centimeters and you have more space. Again, you just lift it up, pull it towards you, press it again, and it's a plain floor with the trunk. You can still lift it up then and you have some space under it. And there's even a little trapdoor, and here we have the spare tire. Spare tire, by the way, it's not a real, it has like a 125 70 R18. On the left side we have a compartment, and here we find the subwoofer of the Canton premium sound system, and still some space to put some stuff in. On the right side we find the emergency kit and those two plastic things. And if you think like, what the hell? You can bend them to angles, and on the floor you have stuff that you can fix them on the floor of the trunk and put stuff in there so it's not shaking around. Like for instance, I just had one little suitcase while I arrived at the airport because Toby took all the stuff with him. So I just took these two things, put them around my suitcase and prevented it from shaking around. If you don't need them anymore, they fit in the door right here and they don't get lost. And by the way, next to the Medipack, the emergency kit, you still have some more stuff, place for some other stuff. A neat thing by Skoda is this light for the trunk, so it illuminates the trunk on one side. On the other side you can remove it, and it's an LED flashlight which is magnetic, I'm sorry. And that's pretty neat, I think, because you don't normally need a flashlight, but in case you need one, you know it's always in your trunk, unless you forget it to put it back in. Then we have hooks for shopping bags, for instance. We have two buttons to flip the back seats, and we have a 12-volt outlet on the right side. And by the way, down here we still have those things to screw stuff. No, to tighten something with a rope or something. Okay, so I can flip the back seat row now, which goes 60 on the right side and 40 on the left side. If I flip the back seats in the sedan, I get a volumina of 1,760 liters. Here in the E-State version, it's 1,950 liters. So here you feel the difference because that is measured to the very roof. I just, measured everything for you. So we have 1 meter in wide, 1 meter and 7 centimeters to the end of the rear seats that you can flip from the inside as well by releasing this button here. By the way, you get an almost plain surface, and you have space of 1 meter 77 up to the end of the flipped rear bench. more than 2 meters to the driver's seat. If it's put in my position, I'm 180. And if you push the passenger seat to the very front and put the backrest to the very low and even remove the headrest, that I was too lazy for that, then you can store goods with a length of 3 meters and 10 in here. Just to let you know, if you open the rear door to the very high, you have at least 2 meters and 10 centimeters. Well, you can store up to 750 kilograms in our test car, which equals 1,576 pound. And you can store up to 100 kilograms on the roof. By the way, you can install a hook for a trailer, and you can pull trailers up to a weight of 2.2 tons if they have their own braking system. Let me share my driving experience with the Skoda Superb E-State version and the 190 horsepower diesel and the 6-speed DSG dual clutch transmission. Actually, when I landed at the airport in Munich, they gave me a 150 horsepower diesel, and we tested this car already as a sedan, or this engine already with a sedan, and I was quite pleased with a sedan. And now I've driven on the German Autobahn, and I have to say I still like the engine, and I still think it's enough power for most of the people. But if you drive like with 120 kilometers per hour on the Autobahn and you want to accelerate a little bit faster, then it takes a while. So the 190 horsepower diesel has, of course, more power and is quicker to accelerate, especially from 80 or 120 up to a higher speed. The DSG is working fine unless you drive slow. I was driving in stop and go and slow traffic yesterday a lot, and I think every once in a while it has some delays I don't like. I had to turn the car on the street a couple of times while we were filming, and especially from going from drive in reverse and back to drive. This car, or the DSG, is pretty slow, and since it was not really a good idea to turn the car wherever I turned it, I was in a hurry, and this really made me think, man, they gotta do something about those times, because they could be much faster, and I know it from other cars that it can be faster. So maybe they want to fine-tune a little bit the DSG. Once you use the shifting pedals on the steering wheel, they react as quick as you expected. Same with the stick, which I can use to, I can push the stick of the transmission to the right, and then I can shift manually as well, and that shifting is as quick. By the way, I can even put the stick from drive once back, just pull it back once, and then I go from drive to sport, and acceleration is much faster then, especially when you overtake. It's neat to have this function, just pull back, overtake the car in front of you, and then go back and drive and continue your drive. We have the different driving modes here in our car. So we have Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport and Individual. While Individual affects the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, the steering, the whole powertrain itself, the ACC, the dynamic cornering light and the air condition. And you can choose different values for each of them. The DCC, I personally like the DCC, the setup of the DCC, because once you drive in comfort, the car is really comfortable. It feels like an old French car almost, I have a DS, a Citroën DS at home, and this car in comfort even reminds me of driving my DS. a little bit at least. Well, it's, in this direction. But this means that once you put the car in sport, it could be the whole chassis, the whole suspension could be much stiffer. It does not really have anything to do with a sporty setup. It's more sporty than comfort, of course, but I think, well, it would be neat if they have a bigger range, but I think as well that this is a matter of cost and they didn't want to make it more expensive. But maybe they should think about two different setups, a little bit more sporty setup and another one, a little comfort setup. The steering is just fine, especially in the city, while you try to, find a parking spot or maneuver your car in small roads. So it's really easy to steer. Once you go on the Autobahn, it gets a little bit tighter, the whole steering, but you might want to use the sporty setting on the Autobahn for the steering. So I think if I would buy a Skoda Superb with this mode control, I would probably drive individual all the time, put the steering in sport, the suspension in comfort, and most probably even the powertrain in eco. And once I want to, get the power, just put it in sport. The brakes are fine, they work fine with this car. We had no problems at all. We didn't have to do an emergency brake either, but I think they suit the car very well. Coming to noise in the car, well, you don't have a sporty sound, of course. It's just a diesel. However, it is a silent runner then, so you don't have a sporty sound. You have hardly any sound from the engine, and I like that. Wind noises start around 140 kilometers, I guess, 140, 160, but they don't get so loud that you can't have a normal conversation in the front row. One word to the infotainment system, the Columbus infotainment system. It's the biggest one they offer. It comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and MirrorLink. So if you're a smartphone user, you can hook up your phone and control the phone over the infotainment system, which works with Charm. So far, well, at least Apple CarPlay. I don't have an Android handy, mobile. The Canton premium sound system is a little bit weak for my taste. You gotta know, I used to work for Bowers & Wilkins, which is a premium brand for speakers from the UK, so my ears know what really good sound or really good speakers supposed to sound like. This is fine, it's a fine setup, and I think for 80% of the people it will be okay. But whoever likes to listen to music, especially loud music, the system is not so entertaining if you listen to loud music. We have various assist systems in the car. We have the ACC, for instance, which works fine. So it's not only keeping the speed you told the system, but as well the distance to the car in front of you. So if you're driving at a current speed and the car in front of you is slower, your car slows down as well to keep the distance. And that works with Charm, it's not suddenly braking if it recognizes a car with a radar, but it's slowing down slowly. And depending on the driving mode, it accelerates slow in eco and pretty fast in sport. We have this active lane keeping assist, so the camera is scanning the road for the lines. Once it has recognized the lines, you see a green icon in the in the cockpit, and it's an active lane keeping assist, so the whole time the car supports you while steering. I know that some people don't like this too much. I'm a fan of it. I don't mind the car helping me steering or supporting me steering. However, they put a button on the steering wheel with which you can jump in this control field and enable and disable it in between a second. And I like this, especially if you share the car with someone else who doesn't like the system while you like it. You can, switch it on and off pretty easy. Of course, we have a blind spot warner, a little lamp in the mirror that warns you if someone is in the blind spot. And if you put the turning signal in this direction anyway, it starts flashing, so you should be warned and don't wreck your car. We have a traffic sign recognition as well. Same camera that scans the road for the lines, and that worked with charm here in Germany, of course. Let me sum up my whole impression about this car. I like the E-State version. It's fine. It gives you a little bit more space than the sedan. I personally would choose the sedan because I think it looks nicer and you don't get so much more space. Just if you flip the back seats, you have 200 liters more. If you just take it like this, the difference is not so big. Thinking about driving the 150 horsepower diesel or the 190 horsepower diesel, I am saying that I think the 150 is enough for everyone, but if you like to have a little bit more power, you should choose the 190 horsepower, and it's a little bit more fun to drive too. Thinking about comfort, I really like the suspension. I think it's rather French suspension, in comfort at least. And I don't think that the Superb itself is a very sporty car. It's more like a long distance cruiser. It's even good for the Autobahn, but nothing I would take like on a track or anything, of course. I'm curious to see how the 280 horsepower version drives though. All in all, I think it's a very reasonable car, and especially the Volkswagen Passat has to look, because this car, in my opinion, is not a tiny bit worse, or the Passat is not a tiny bit better, maybe from the interior, from the quality of the materials they use, but overall and in relation to the price, this is indeed an awesome car. If you have any questions about our review, please let us know in the comment. We are trying to answer. If you like this video, I'd like to see your thumb up, and I'm happy if you share this clip around the social networks like Twitter, Facebook, Google+, or put it in your playlists in YouTube. And if you haven't done so and you like this kind of clip, we do this kind of car reviews even in English a whole lot, so it's worth subscribing us. Yeah, and it's really hot out here, so I'm saying goodbye. Yours, Mr. Z.